Well, today is really awesome too because we're kind of giving people some ideas
Yeah.
of how to integrate this lifestyle into their everyday lives. Because it's, a lot of times when we talk about spiritual things, it can feel very conceptual, it feels very cognitive. It's so important that we integrate these practices in our everyday life, and everything that we talk about on Modern Sage is meant to be integrated. It's meant to be used. It's meant to shift your relationship to life itself, to bring balance and beauty and harmony into your life. So I feel like this topic is so foundational,
Absolutely.
because it can kind of give some examples of how to do that, how you do it, how I do it. So I don't know. How about you want to start this one and
Yeah.
talk about like what you do for your daily practice?
Yes. Well, I try. So, what I have found very effective for myself is even ever since I was little, I have always been someone who has wanted to be an author. I was always writing poems. I have stories. Luckily, at my school, they had them where you could write stories and they'd bind them into like actual books. So I have like three or four of those. I was constantly writing plays and poems and just all kinds of things. And I have found that as I move forward into my adult life, really connecting into writing has been my biggest way of feeding myself spiritually. And so I try to take time every day to journal. So let's just go through the morning. When I wake up in the morning, I typically, because our body is so important and we are physical, mental, emotional, spiritual being or multidimensional, yes.
Yes.
Um, I really love to start my day with I have a green supplement drink. It's called Vital. So I have my ice water, I put in my green powder, and then I put in a cinnamate, which is yerba mate and cinnamon. And so I mix those two together. Sometimes I'll put in like an Advent green, which has a little more greens to it as well. But in the morning, I always wake up and I have that. That's like the first thing that I do. And then I do have different supplements that I take as well, like a probiotic. Right now, I'm on ashwagandha and some other things just for helping out with my body and balancing and all the different things. So I have that going. And a lot of times I'm getting into this routine where when I would have sessions, it was easy to get myself aligned, to pray, to meditate, to get myself in right, to then help other people. But when I'm not having that, I have found that it's harder for me to put that time aside to prepare myself spiritually every day. And so now I've tried to make it a goal that after I take my dogs to the dog park, before anything else, we'll go to the gym or the dog park, depending upon the day. And then I always try to just go straight into my office. And I have this little space over here where I have my oracle cards, I have my runes, I have my journal. I'll light my candle, depending upon if I want an incense or my diffuser. I try to just incorporate earth into my daily practice as well. And I have found that when I pray and when I light a candle or I light an incense, when I give myself permission to just incorporate Mother Earth, I have found so much deeper meaning. And
Hmm.
so when I can start my day with just breath work, with 5 deep breaths, or if I imagine this tube of light just coming straight down, I say a prayer to Father Sky, to Mother Earth. I call upon the directions. I offer gratitude and prayer. And that's like, once I'm done with that, I feel so much more aligned. Where, regardless of what I'm doing, when I give myself that space, I feel so much better. And let's say over the
Hmm.
weekend, we went to Six Flags. So in the morning, I didn't wake up and pray and meditate. But when I was in the car, I was still trying to be very mindful before going into a hectic place. So
Yes.
we were listening to calming music. I was closing my eyes, just taking breath work, watching the window, like looking at the window at the greenery, saying prayers of gratitude. But it was really bringing that sense of home. It's like bringing myself back here. And breath work is the best tool that I have found. And then
Hmm.
I absolutely love having my journal. So I'll just start writing whatever's coming to my mind. And I have found that if I'm not trying to find an answer, I just start to write or doodle. all of a sudden I'll have this download of information. And maybe I'm like, oh, I want to look at this or I want to look at this. So then I'm, have my different books, different tools that I'm looking at when I have that set time aside. Another thing that I take a lot of time doing is on our Modern Sages YouTube. We follow a lot of different spiritual teachers and leaders. And maybe when I'm doing the dishes or the laundry, I'll actually just look on the feed of whatever's there. And I'm sure you probably do the same thing.
I do too.
And whatever I'm drawn to, I click on it. And so, I'm constantly listening to spiritual topics, new ways of living life, new expectations. I have so many different books in my Audible that are all like shaman teachings or different things like that. So whenever I feel drawn to listening to something, I just have that on hand so that I can spend time uplifting myself. And I do that because I am one who typically has a lot of anxiety and I can overthink things to the next level. So let's say I had a conversation with someone. I am the type of person who will rethink about that conversation over and over and over again until I make myself sick. Like, I should have said this and this and this. I don't do that as much now because I've had different spiritual tools that have really helped me
Yes.
pull out of the
Get in your
drama.
body and get in your
Yeah.
body in the present.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So that's a big thing. And having those things that I'm constantly doing is so powerful, is having those uplifting things, whether it's like listening to a tarot reading or a shaman teaching or practices or whatever it is on YouTube. That's one of the biggest things as well, that
Love
I
it.
have found has very helpful for my spiritual experience. And working out is a big thing. I don't always do it, but when I do work out, I feel so much better. So, those are just a few of the practices that I try to incorporate every day. I'm not perfect. And when I start feeling very out of balance, or when I start eating really bad, or I'm not working out, I feel an energy shift inside
Yes.
and I know it's time to change.
Those four legs are coming out of balance. And
Mhm.
the things that I was noticing as you're talking about all those routines is that you're addressing all those four legs of the multidimensional self, that physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, bringing balance, acknowledging those four areas and bringing balance in those four areas in your life. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect every
Yeah, I'm
day
not
or
perfect at all.
yeah, and that there's not going to be an imbalance a little bit here and there, but it's like I think when you bring yourself back to that awareness and say, okay, what am I doing physically to take care of myself? What am I doing emotionally to take care of myself? What am I doing mentally to take care of myself? What am I doing spiritually to take care of myself? I
Mhm.
think that when you incorporate those questions and then integrate every day those tools that you have, it naturally starts to create more balance and you can feel it. You feel more grounded and
Mhm.
centered and peaceful. And then if you do go off balance, you know how to get back on too, because you start
Yeah.
asking yourself, okay, what have I done? Which leg am I out of balance with? Where do I need to put a little bit more energy into
Yeah.
to bring in some more balance? And so
Well, and
I love this way of
yeah.
living because there's a
Uh-huh.
strategy. There really
Yeah.
is a solid strategy to follow to
Yeah,
help
well,
you
and
incorporate that.
even thinking how so many people will wake up and have a cup of coffee, right? Like that's just
Mhm.
part of their daily routine. And
That's me.
I used to love, love, love
That's
coffee.
me.
Yes. I just found that I would spend too much money on it. And then also I when I drink coffee, I find myself not eating enough and then binging. Like it's just like harder for me to find a balance when I'm drinking coffee. And so I've been off it for about 5 weeks now. But instead of just not doing it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have my Vital and my
Your
Cinnamate.
herbs.
And so
Hmm.
I have it right in the morning. The first thing I do when I get up is I make myself that because it's still the routine of I love to go get coffee in the mornings. It was so relaxing and just so fun and a great way to start the day. But even
Hmm.
thinking about, like I know with you, is you'll have your coffee and you'll be listening to calming music
Yeah.
and breathing for a moment instead of just like
My
taking that as like
mindfulness
your
time.
sacred time before life gets crazy, especially
Well,
for
and also
moms.
too, yeah, and coffee bean is that is a medicinal
It is really, yeah,
and it affects your
so
everybody's body
beneficial.
differently. And if you're one like you will pick up so much energy around you. So like even you were talking about going to Six Flags, it's so important that you prepare yourself for that,
Mm-hmm.
because you're picking up all of that energy and you naturally feel that anxiety and that rush and that overstimulation. It's something that you felt your whole life. So then you
Yeah.
add a stimulant, an herb that is a stimulant to the body, that can throw your energetics off balance. For
Yeah.
me, my body is sluggish. I usually struggle with depression and low, especially I'm slow to get going in the morning. So the caffeine doesn't seem to affect my energetics the same way
Can I
as it
pause?
does affect yours.
We have a raven that's literally just landed on the thing and is just staring at us.
How cool.
Oh my
And you know what this
gosh.
symbolizes? A raven is about walking your talk,
How funny.
speaking your truth, saying like this is what I know to be true, and I live what I know to be true. So it's so
Just
perfect
flew
timing.
away, but it was like
Hi,
just
Raven.
staring at us.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what we're
Thank you. Thank
doing.
you. Yes.
We're walking our talk. So I just love what you shared. And there's so many things that you and I have in common. And this is, I think, why too we're such great soul sisters,
Well,
and
and
we
I learned
support
it
each
from
other's
you.
journey.
I learned all
Well,
this from you.
even like you talk about your writing and everything, I just so relate. Thank you for watching Modern Sages. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We are so grateful for your support. We have an Instagram account as well as on Facebook. We have our podcast, which is the Modern Sages podcast.
And we are so excited to launch our Gifts of Spirit classes in our Modern Sages Mystery School.
Absolutely. Oh, we're so excited. So we're going to link the information below in the show notes for more information about our mystery school.